Caitlin Clark, the only WNBA player receiving over 500,000 fan votes for the WNBA All-Star game. Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Michell, Lexie Hull, the Fever 4, sitting in the top 10 when it comes to WNBA fan voting for the All-Star game.
What happens when fan voting numbers jump from under 100,000 to over 515,000 for a single player? You get Caitlin Clark absolutely dominating the 2025 WNBA All-Star voting, that's what. But the real story isn't just Clark leading the pack. It's the Indiana Fever sending 4 players into the top 10, while the player that boldly declared people watch for her too, Angel Reese, is nowhere near to be found. The 2025 All-Star game is happening in Indianapolis, and the Fever just proved they own their own house. If you support the Fever, vote for them in the All-Star game and comment FeverFab4 down below. Let's go.
Every chance the Indiana Fever fans, every chance Caitlin Clark fans, every time they have a chance to show up, they show out. Every time they have an opportunity to support, not only do they support, they go above and beyond when it comes to attendance, when it comes to viewership, when it comes to merchandise, and now clearly, as it's always been clear, the extracurricular activities, the add-ons, the plus ones, this would really help us. This would really help you. Say no more. Please, let's try to get these girls in the, this is what you want? Say no more. And the Indiana Fever fans did exactly that.
Let's talk about what WNBA All-Star voting looked like before Caitlin Clark changed everything. Picture this scenario from just 2 years ago. The league's biggest stars were fighting tooth and nail for fan votes. The competition was tight. Every vote mattered because the numbers were so close together.
Caitlin Clark's leading, and we've got 4 Indiana Fever players in the top 10, which I think can be expected considering where it is that the game is being played. So I will give people a lot of credit. I think a lot of people, it looks like, voted based on basketball for the most part. And there's a supposed, people keep telling me, supposed second most popular player in the league that doesn't look like the second most popular player at all.
Here's where it gets interesting. In 2023, not a single WNBA player reached 100,000 votes in All-Star voting. Not one. The entire voting process was contained within a much smaller bubble of dedicated fans. Only 8 players managed to cross the 50,000 vote threshold. These were respectable numbers for the league at that time, but they show you exactly how different the landscape was.
First returns for the WNBA All-Star voting when it comes to the fan vote. Caitlin Clark, number 1, absolutely no surprise. The biggest, the best, the most noticeable, the face of the WNBA. If you had any questions about the face of the WNBA, look at that graphic right there. That's called the face of the league.
Fast forward to 2025, and Clark just obliterated those numbers. She pulled in 515,993 votes in the first round alone. That's more than 5 times what the top vote-getter managed in the entire 2023 process. Clark didn't just win the voting. She redefined what winning looks like in WNBA, fan engagement. But that's not all. Clark's impact created a ripple effect across the entire league. This year, 19 different players crossed that 100,000 vote mark that nobody hit in 2023. The fan base expanded dramatically. More people are paying attention to women's basketball than ever before. Clark's star power lifted the entire sport.
Clark garnered 515,993 votes over the first week of fan voting. She's the only player to eclipse 500,000. Nafisi Collier, who is probably the leader of the MVP pack right now, is at 485,000. Aliyah Boston is third, 447,000, as she should be.
You want to understand what these numbers really mean? Clark's 515,993 votes represent a fundamental shift in how fans connect with the WNBA. These aren't just casual observers clicking once and moving on. These are dedicated supporters who went out of their way to vote for their favorite player. The engagement levels show that women's basketball has broken through to mainstream sports consciousness. Compare Clark's voting power to other major sports all-star games, and the picture becomes even clearer. Her numbers rival what you see in established leagues with decades of fan loyalty. She's generating the kind of passionate fan response that typically takes years to build. Clark accomplished this in less than 2 seasons.
Napheesa Collier, number 2. Aliyah Boston, number 3. Asia Wilson, number 4. Brianna Stewart, number 5. Paige, Kiki Iriafen, 2 rookies in the top 10. And we got Kelsey Michell, 7. Sabrina, 8. And Lexie Hull, 9. We got 2 rookies. We got 4 Fever players. We got 2 Liberty players. We got Napheesa Collier, a top 2 player in the league right now, arguably the best. And we got the Asia Wilson conglomerate continues to show up for their girl.
Napheesa Collier sits in second place with 484,758 votes, which would have been unthinkable just 2 years ago. That number alone would have shattered 2023's voting records. The fact that it's now second place shows you how completely Clark has transformed the voting landscape. Every player in the top 10 this year posted numbers that would have dominated previous years. Clark's individual success tells only part of the story, though. Her 19.9 points and 8.7 assists per game this season back up the fan excitement with actual production. She's not just popular because of college fame. She's delivering on the court every single night. The viewership numbers follow her games. The attendance figures spike when she plays. Clark brings eyeballs to the sport in ways the WNBA has never experienced.
But not everybody's conglomerate is showing up for their girl. Not everybody's pieces are showing up for their girl. Not everybody's stands are showing up for their girl. Caitlin Clark, 500,000. Aliyah Boston, like we said. When we start jumping out of the top 10, we got Kelsey Plum, okay. Satu Sabali, 2. And then we got Angel Reese at 13 when it comes to WNBA fan voting. Angel Reese and the Reese's Pieces continue to have more Twitter fingers than actual action.
The voting system itself had to adapt to handle the massive increase in participation. The infrastructure that worked fine for 50,000 vote totals suddenly needed to process numbers 10 times larger. Clark's popularity forced the league to upgrade their entire fan engagement platform. Her record-breaking performance in All-Star voting proves something bigger than individual achievement. Clark has created a new baseline for WNBA star power. Future All-Star voting will be measured against what she accomplished this year. She didn't just break records, she established a completely new standard. Clark's dominance in fan voting created something even more remarkable for the Indiana Fever as a franchise.
Second straight year that Clark has led the fan voting. She was second in early returns in fan voting in 2024, but jumped to first with around 700,000 total votes by the end of the period. So I'm wondering, are we going to see 1 million votes this time? Because I saw somebody earlier that said, so far, voting is actually way up versus exactly where we was at this time last year.
Here's where the story gets really interesting. One superstar can change a franchise, but can one superstar lift an entire team into all-star territory? That's exactly what happened with the Indiana Fever this year. All-star voting usually spreads pretty evenly across different teams and markets. The big names from established franchises like Las Vegas, New York, and Seattle typically grab the top spots. Smaller market teams fight for maybe one all-star selection if they're lucky. Teams rarely get more than 2 players in the top 10. That's just how the voting works when fan bases are spread across 12 different cities.
Something that I want to talk about, on the left side of your screen, we're seeing the 2025 numbers, and then boom, on the right side of your screen, you're seeing the 2024 numbers. Arike Ongumbawale went from a top 5 vote getter to all the way down to 34th. The jig is up. The jig is up, Arike. You have been found out.
The question everyone was asking was simple. Could Clark's teammates ride her massive wave of popularity? Would Fever fans show up for the entire roster or just their superstar point guard? The early voting numbers kept people guessing about whether this would be Clark's individual moment or something bigger for the franchise. Then the full voting results dropped and shocked everyone. Aliyah Boston sits in third place with her own massive vote total. Not fifth or sixth place where you might expect a solid teammate to land. Third place in the entire WNBA. Boston's 361,018 votes would have easily won All-Star voting in previous years. She's not just along for the ride. She's earned her spot through her own outstanding play and fan support.
Kelsey Michell, of course, Indiana, 277,000. Lexie Hull, 217,000. And there is Kiki Arifin, 213,500. She's averaging a double-double, a legit double-double, with a good field goal percentage.
But that's not all. Kelsey Michell landed in 7th position with 198,471 votes. Mitchell has been one of the most consistent scorers in the league for years. Her fan base finally showed up in a big way. She's averaging 17.6 points per game and proving that veteran leadership matters just as much as rookie excitement. Here's where it gets really wild. Lexie Hull secured 9th place in the voting with 161,832 votes. Hull represents everything fans love about hard work and team chemistry. She's not putting up huge scoring numbers, but she does all the little things that make teams successful. The fact that fans recognize her value shows how much attention people are paying to the entire Fever roster. 4 players from one team dominating the top 10 has never happened before in WNBA All-Star voting. Most teams celebrate getting one player selected. The Fever just claimed nearly half of the top 10 spots. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hull created something special that goes way beyond individual achievement. Compare this to other teams' representation, and you see how rare this really is. The Las Vegas Aces got 2 players in the top 10. The New York Liberty managed 2 as well. Most teams got 0 or 1. The Fever didn't just participate in All-Star voting. They took it over completely. Picture what this means for team chemistry and fan support. These 4 players practice together every day. They know each other's games inside and out. They've built something special in Indiana that translates directly to wins on the court. When fans vote for all 4 players, they're voting for the team culture that makes the Fever successful. The voting numbers prove that Fever fans don't just support individual stars, they support the entire program. They recognize that basketball is a team sport and that great players make each other better. Clark's success opened the door, but Boston, Mitchell, and Hull walked through it with their own outstanding performances. The Fever didn't just get one All-Star selection this year. They created a complete takeover of the voting process that shows how powerful team chemistry can be when it connects with passionate fans.
Caitlin Clark has 3 times the amount of votes. 3 times the amount of votes as Angel Reese. So, there you go. I suspect Sophie Cunningham's numbers are going to grow after what we've seen. Somebody said, I saw some things online about they sold $1 million worth of Sophie Cunningham jerseys, and something in the neighborhood of 12,000 all went out one day, or all got bought at one day, and it jacked up the Indiana Fever system, this, that, and the other. By the way, the Slows are pissed off about Sophie even being on this list.
Picture this timing. Indianapolis is hosting the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game on July 19th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the same arena where the Fever just dominated All-Star voting with 4 players in the top 10. You couldn't write a better script for home court advantage. All-Star Game host cities usually struggle to get their own players selected. The voting spreads across different markets and fan bases. Home teams might get 1 player if they're lucky. Most host cities end up cheering for visiting All-Stars while their own roster watches from home. That's just how All-Star voting works when you don't have a superstar leading the charge. But here's where it gets interesting. What happens when the home team doesn't just participate in All-Star voting? What happens when they completely take it over? The Fever turned their home All-Star game into something unprecedented in WNBA history. Gainbridge Fieldhouse will host 4 of its own players as All-Stars on July 19th. Clark, Boston, Mitchell, and Hull will walk onto their home court wearing All-Star jerseys. The crowd will be cheering for their own team in an All-Star game. That energy is going to be absolutely electric. The atmosphere will feel more like a playoff game than an exhibition.
Sophie Cunningham has got 95,116 votes as of right now. I'm going to be very interested. As of right now, I don't know if they will technically take the top. There's 24 spots. So I don't know if they're going to take the top 24. I'm assuming they will. But if they do, she would be on the All-Star team as of right now.
The Fever's success in voting goes even deeper than the top 10. Additional players made waves in the extended top 40 voting. Fever fans showed up to vote for everyone wearing the uniform.
Angel Reese. Well, wait a minute. I thought it was about you too. Speak, everybody's watching because of me too. Except everybody's not watching because of you too. I mean, guys, if the ratings ain't enough and the attendance ain't enough and what happened at LSU ain't enough and all this other stuff ain't enough to tell you where Angel Reese's place is, well, it's 13th place. And I can tell you right now, Jonquel Jones ought to be ahead of her.
Now let's talk about who didn't show up in the voting. Angel Reese is completely absent from the top 10 despite her loud social media presence. Remember all the talk about how she brings viewers and attention? Remember the claims that people watch the WNBA because of her? The voting numbers tell a very different story. Reese's fans talk big online, but they don't show up when it counts. Social media engagement doesn't translate to actual votes. All that noise on Twitter and Instagram means nothing if people won't take 30 seconds to vote for their favorite player. The contrast between Reese's online presence and her voting absence is pretty telling.
They continue to talk a good game instead of being about a good game. This is fan voting. This is literally vote for who you are a fan of. Vote for who you're a fan of, or vote for who you think is most worthy. Vote for who you're a fan of. Vote for who you think is most worthy. Vote for who you think are the stars in this league. Angel Reese fans, you guys aren't fans of her? You don't think she's most worthy? You don't think she's a star in this league?
Meanwhile, Hull sits in 9th place with over 160,000 votes. Hull doesn't have millions of social media followers. She doesn't create drama or controversy. She just plays basketball and wins games. Fever fans recognize that value and voted accordingly. That's the difference between real support and internet noise. July 19th is going to create an atmosphere unlike anything the WNBA has seen before. ABC will broadcast the game nationally. The WNBA Countdown Show will build excitement throughout the day. The entire basketball world will be watching Indianapolis celebrate 4 of its own All-Stars on home court. Indiana has become the epicenter of women's basketball. The Fever went from rebuilding franchise to All-Star powerhouse in less than 2 years. The fan support is real. The voting numbers prove it. The home court advantage on July 19th will be incredible. The Fever turned their home All-Star game into a complete hometown celebration. They proved that Indiana owns women's basketball right now. 4 All-Stars, home court, national television. The perfect storm for women's basketball in Indianapolis. Think about what just happened here. The Indiana Fever went from rebuilding franchise to All-Star powerhouse in less than 2 years. 4 players in the top 10. Over 500,000 votes for Clark alone. Complete domination of their home All-Star game. Picture the energy at Gainbridge Fieldhouse on July 19th. 4 home players taking the court as All-Stars. The crowd going absolutely wild for their own team. National television showcasing Indianapolis as the center of women's basketball. This is just the beginning for the Fever. The fan support is real. The talent is proven. The 2025 season starts with 4 All-Stars and unlimited potential. If you support the Fever, vote for them in the All-Star game and comment FeverFab4 down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.